Dr. Harrison Blake jabbed his finger at 8-year-old Maya Williams like she was a pest. The little girl froze, clutching her backpack while her mother emptied trash around 200 silent investors. Blake's face twisted with cruel amusement. Maybe a child can solve what my MIT graduates can't. Vicious laughter rippled through MathCore Industries' boardroom. Maya's mother grabbed her arm, trying to drag her toward the exit. 2 million live-stream viewers watched the billionaire CEO destroy a little girl's dignity for sport. Behind Blake, screens blazed with error messages. His billion-dollar AI system had crashed 3 days ago. His team of experts stood helpless, shoulders slumped in defeat. Maya stared at those screens with unusual intensity. Her small fingers twitched like she was solving invisible equations. None of the adults noticed the spark of recognition in her dark eyes. They were about to learn the most expensive lesson of their lives. The crisis had started 72 hours earlier when MathCore's autonomous vehicle AI began making fatal calculation errors. Cars were crashing. Lawsuits were mounting. Blake's stock price had hemorrhaged $3 billion in 3 days. Now, in this marble-walled boardroom overlooking Manhattan, Blake faced the vultures. Toyota's executives sat stone-faced in the front row. BMW's team whispered urgently in German. Ford's representatives kept checking their phones, probably calculating how much market share they'd gained from MathCore's collapse. Ladies and gentlemen, Blake's voice carried the desperation he tried to hide. We're experiencing temporary technical difficulties with our core algorithm. My team assures me we'll have a solution within. Temporary? Toyota's CEO cut him off. Your system killed 4 people in Tokyo yesterday. Blake's jaw clenched. Behind him, 50 engineers hunched over laptops, their faces glowing blue in the screen light. Harvard PhDs, MIT graduates, Stanford prodigies, the best minds money could buy, all failing spectacularly. Dr. Sarah Carter, his lead architect, approached with trembling hands. Blake, we've tried everything. Machine learning recalibration, neural network restructuring, complete algorithm rewrites. Nothing works. The live stream counter in the corner showed 2.3 million viewers now. Tech blogs were calling it the death of MathCore. Social media buzzed with memes about Blake's arrogance finally catching up to him. Maya watched from her corner, invisible to everyone except her mother, who worked methodically around the chaos. The little girl had been coming to these buildings since she could walk. While other kids played with toys, Maya studied the glowing numbers on abandoned monitors. She'd learned to read from discarded programming manuals, taught herself basic logic from overheard conversations between exhausted engineers. Her playground was the server room. Her lullabies were the hum of cooling fans. Blake paced like a caged animal. This is why we maintain standards, he announced to no one in particular. Real programming requires proper education. Ivy League credentials. Years of rigorous training. His eyes swept the room dismissively. You can't just walk in off the street and understand complex systems. Intelligence isn't democratic. It's cultivated through privilege, breeding, and elite institutions. Maya's mother, Rosa, bent over another trash bin. 20 years of cleaning these buildings. 20 years of watching brilliant people solve impossible problems while her daughter sat forgotten in corners. The irony would have been beautiful if it weren't so cruel. Blake's phone buzzed constantly. Board members, shareholders, competitors smelling blood. Every major tech company was preparing acquisition bids for MathCore's patents once the bankruptcy hit. Sir, his assistant whispered urgently, the automotive executives are threatening to leave. Blake straightened his tie, forcing confidence he didn't feel. This demonstration was supposed to showcase MathCore's dominance. Instead, it was his public execution. The room's tension was suffocating. Billion-dollar deals hung in balance. Thousands of jobs waited for the verdict. The future of autonomous vehicles itself teetered on the edge of this single moment. Maya shifted in her chair, her young mind processing patterns that escaped the adults around her. She'd been watching their screens for an hour now, watching them chase complex theories while missing something beautifully simple. But she was just a kid, a cleaner's daughter, someone to be ignored, dismissed, forgotten. Blake checked his watch. The presentation was supposed to last 2 hours. He'd already burned through 45 minutes of stammering excuses and technical delays. Perhaps, suggested BMW's representative with German precision, we should consider alternative partnerships, companies with more reliable systems. The words hit Blake like physical blows. His empire was crumbling in real time, broadcast to millions, witnessed by the industry's most powerful players. Rosa finished with the last trash bin and moved toward Maya. Time to go. Time to let the important people handle important things. But Maya's eyes remained fixed on those screens, her mind racing through possibilities that would change everything. What happens when the one person with the answer is the one nobody thinks to ask? Maya stood up as her mother reached for her hand. "Mommy, wait." Rosa looked embarrassed. "Maya, no. These people are busy." But Maya's eyes stayed locked on the main display screen. Numbers and alerts flashed everywhere. While the engineers frantically typed, Maya saw something they'd missed completely. Blake was explaining to the automotive executives why they needed more time when Maya's small voice cut through the tension. "Excuse me." The room went quiet. 200 heads turned toward an 8-year-old girl who had no business speaking in this billion-dollar crisis. Blake's face darkened. "Not now, sweetheart. The adults are working." Maya took 3 steps forward, her backpack bouncing. "I think I see what's wrong." Uncomfortable chuckles rippled through the investor crowd. Toyota's CEO raised an eyebrow. BMW's team exchanged amused glances. "That's very sweet." Blake's voice dripped condescension. "But this is rocket science, honey. Maybe you should stick to coloring books." Dr. Carter started to intervene, but Maya pressed forward with startling confidence. "The computer is confused." Blake gestured at the wall of flashing screens. "Yes, obviously it's malfunctioning. That's why we have 50 experts trying to—" "No," Maya interrupted with unusual certainty. "It's not broken, it just doesn't understand what you're asking." The room fell silent. Every engineer stopped typing. Maya pointed at the main screen. "Right there. You're telling the computer to do something, but you meant to ask it a question." Dr. Carter squinted at the display, following Maya's finger to a specific line of code buried among thousands. "It's like when you say your name is Sarah instead of asking, 'Is your name Sarah?'" Maya explained simply. "The computer gets mixed up." Blake's confidence wavered slightly. That's not how programming works." "Can I show you?" Maya asked with fearless childhood curiosity. The live stream viewer count hit 3 million. Comments flooded in faster than moderators could process them. 8-year-old VS CEO began trending worldwide. Toyota's CEO leaned forward with interest. "I'd like to see what the child suggests." Blake felt trapped. Refusing would look petty. Agreeing would legitimize a child's opinion over his team's expertise. "Fine," he said through gritted teeth. "Dr. Carter, let her point out whatever she thinks she sees. When nothing happens, perhaps we can return to serious work." Maya walked to Dr. Carter's workstation, completely unintimidated by the room full of powerful adults watching her every move. "Here," she pointed at the screen. "The computer thinks you're changing something instead of checking something. You need to fix how you ask the question." Dr. Carter stared at the line Maya indicated, such a tiny detail buried in millions of calculations. Her fingers trembled as she made the smallest possible change. One keystroke, one tiny symbol. She hit enter. The room held its collective breath. Error messages continued cascading for a moment. Then, one by one, they began disappearing. System status lights shifted from angry red to cautious yellow to triumphant green. Within 60 seconds, every screen showed perfect operation. The AI system hummed back to life, running smoothly for the first time in 3 days. Maya smiled with quiet satisfaction. Sometimes computers just need you to ask nicely. Blake stood frozen, watching his billion-dollar crisis dissolve because of advice from a child who wasn't even old enough for high school. The room erupted in whispers. Phones buzzed with urgent messages. The automotive executives sat up straighter, suddenly very interested in continuing negotiations. But this was just the beginning. What happens when an 8-year-old embarrasses the smartest people in the room on live television? The room exploded into chaos. Engineers rushed to their screens, confirming what seemed impossible. The system was running perfectly. 3 days of failure fixed by a child's observation. Blake's face cycled through disbelief, embarrassment, and growing anger. That can't be right. One tiny change? Our entire team missed one tiny change? Dr. Tyne. Carter pulled up system diagnostics, her voice shaking with amazement. Blake, she's right. The response time has improved by 40%. Error rates dropped to 0. Toyota's CEO stood up, suddenly animated. Show us the performance metrics. The main screen filled with green bars and upward trending graphs. Every measurement showed dramatic improvement. The automotive executives leaned forward, whispering excitedly among themselves. Blake felt his authority slipping away like sand. Even if that's true, which I find hard to believe, anyone could have spotted that eventually. It was just a matter of time. Maya tilted her head with the innocent wisdom that only children possess. But you didn't spot it. And time costs money, doesn't it, mister? Blake? Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. Several investors pulled out their phones, frantically texting updates to their firms. Blake's assistant whispered urgently in his ear about social media exploding. Maya the genius was trending alongside Blake the blind. Stock prices were responding in real time to a child's success. This is ridiculous, Blake announced to the room. One lucky guess doesn't make someone a programmer. Real software engineering requires years of training, advanced degrees, and systematic methodology. Maya looked around the room of 50 experts who had failed where she succeeded. Maybe sometimes you just need fresh eyes. Dr. Carter couldn't hide her fascination. Maya, how did you see that when we missed it? You were all looking at the hard parts, Maya explained simply. But the mistake was in the easy part. Nobody checks the easy parts. BMW's technical director spoke up. What other easy parts haven't we checked? Maya studied the screens again, her young mind processing patterns that escaped the adults. There are more places like that one. Want me to show you? Blake stepped between Maya and the screens. Absolutely not. This has gone far enough. We have protocols, procedures, and professional standards. Are you afraid she'll find more mistakes? Toyota's CEO asked pointedly. The question hung in the air like a challenge. Blake realized he was trapped by his own arrogance. Saying yes would admit incompetence. Saying no would look like he was afraid of an 8-year-old. Fine, Blake said through clenched teeth. But when she can't find anything else, this charade ends. Maya approached the wall display with quiet confidence. She studied the scrolling code for 30 seconds, then pointed to another section. Here, same problem. You're telling the car to speed up instead of asking if it should speed up. Dr. Tardy. Carter checked the line. Her face went pale. She's right again. And here, Maya pointed to a different area. The car thinks it should always brake hard instead of checking how hard to brake. More frantic typing, more confirmations of Maya's accuracy. How are you doing this? Dr. Carter whispered. Maya shrugged with childlike simplicity. When my mom cleans windows, she checks every corner. You guys only looked at the middle parts. Blake watched his team of MIT graduates being schooled by a child who learned programming from watching through office windows. His billion-dollar company's reputation was crumbling on live television. Even if she's found a few basic errors, Blake said desperately, that doesn't mean she understands our complex systems architecture. Maya looked at him with surprising directness. I don't understand everything, but I understand when something's asking the wrong question. Ford's representative spoke up. How many more wrong questions are there? Maya scanned the screens one more time. Lots. Maybe hundreds. They're everywhere, once you know what to look for. The room buzzed with excitement and horror. Hundreds of errors meant their vehicles had been dangerous for months. It also meant Maya could potentially save lives. Blake felt his world tilting. This is impossible. You can't just waltz in here. And actually, interrupted BMW's technical director, this child has demonstrated more practical insight in 10 minutes than we've seen from your team in 3 days. The live stream comments were going insane. Programming professors from MIT and Stanford were logging in to verify Maya's findings. Tech journalists were writing headlines in real time. Dr. Courting. Carter looked at Maya with newfound respect. Would you be willing to help us find the other errors? Blake's voice cracked with desperation. She's 8 years old. This is a billion-dollar corporation, not a daycare center. Then maybe, Toyota's CEO said coldly, your billion-dollar corporation should hire better programmers. The insult hit Blake like a physical blow. His own clients were turning against him because of a child's success. Maya's mother, Rosa, finally stepped forward, overwhelmed by the attention. Maya, maybe we should go. These people have important work to do. No, said Ford's representative firmly. I think Maya's work is the most important thing happening in this room. Blake realized he was losing control completely. His experts were being outperformed. His clients were taking the child's side. His authority was evaporating in front of millions of viewers. But Maya wasn't finished. She had more surprises that would shake Blake's world to its very foundation. How many more impossible things can one 8-year-old accomplish before the adults admit they were wrong? Blake's phone exploded with notifications. His stock price had jumped 12% in the last hour. Tech blogs were calling Maya the child prodigy who saved MathCore. LinkedIn was flooded with posts about hiring practices and hidden talent. But the real pressure came from the room itself. The automotive executives were no longer thinking about leaving. They were thinking about how much money she could save them. Dr. Blake, Toyota's CEO, said with new authority, I propose we extend this consultation. If this child can find critical errors your team missed, perhaps she can review our other systems. Blake felt the walls closing in. That's absolutely ridiculous. We're talking about life and death technology, autonomous vehicles that carry families, military-grade security systems. You can't just what? BMW's technical director interrupted. Trust someone who's already proven more competent than your engineers. The live stream viewer count hit 4.2 million. Major news networks were picking up the story. CNN was preparing a breaking news segment about the 8-year-old who outsmarted Silicon Valley. Maya stood quietly in the chaos, studying the newest screens Dr. Tucone. Carter had pulled up. These showed MathCore's other major systems: traffic management AI, hospital equipment controllers, financial trading algorithms. Maya, Dr. Carter asked gently, what do you see in these? Blake lunged forward. Don't answer that. These systems control critical infrastructure. One mistake could. Could what? Maya looked at him curiously. Make them work better like the car system. The room went silent at her simple logic. Blake realized his objection made no sense. If Maya improved the vehicle AI, why wouldn't she improve other systems too? Ford's representative pulled out his laptop. Doctor. Blake, our internal analysis shows Maya's fixes have eliminated 93% of processing errors. Our liability insurance costs could drop by millions. Blake's desperation peaked. This is insane. She's a child. She doesn't understand liability, regulations, compliance standards, corporate responsibility. Maya tilted her head. Do computers care about those things? What? The computers just want clear instructions, right? They don't care who gives the instructions, as long as they make sense. Dr. Carter smiled despite the tension. She has a point, Blake. Blake felt his last shred of authority slipping away. The child was too logical, too correct, too devastatingly effective. His assistant rushed over with urgent news. Sir, Microsoft is on line 1. Google is holding on line 2. They both want to discuss partnership opportunities with Maya. The room buzzed with excitement. The biggest tech companies in the world were trying to poach an 8-year-old who had outperformed Blake's entire team. Blake's board members began calling. Investors were demanding emergency meetings. Competitors were circling like sharks, sensing blood in the water. "This has gone too far," Blake announced desperately. "Maya, thank you for your contribution, but I think it's time for you and your mother to go home." "Actually," Toyota's CEO stood up, "we'd like Maya to stay. We're prepared to pay consultancy fees for her continued assistance." Blake's face turned red. "You can't hire her. She's 8. There are child labor laws, legal restrictions, educational requirements." Maya looked at the adults arguing about her like she wasn't there. "Can I just look at the other screens? I promise I won't break anything." Her innocent request silenced the room. "How do you deny a child who's already saved your company millions?" "Dr. Company." Carter pulled up the hospital management system. "What do you think, Maya?" Maya studied the display with intense concentration. Within minutes, she pointed to several areas. "Same problems. The computers are getting confused about questions and commands. More frantic verification, more confirmed errors. Each fix improved system performance dramatically.